There is something to be said about working on ourselves in the dream world. The dream world is more subtle, it's more malleable, which is why I believe that the biggest influence we can have on the physical world is, believe it or not, through our dream world. Literally the dreams. And when the sage talk about you have to go inside to find the answers, you have to go inside to find the answers, you have to go inside to find the answers. Maybe they literally mean go into your dreams. Go inward. I cannot stress how specifically I mean go inward by going to your dreams to do it. Not just meditating, not just being still and listening for this sort of omnipresent, all-knowing voice that just tells you which direction to go. I don't think that's what it means. What if going inside means going into our dreams? See, hear me out on this. There is oneness. Give me a minute or two to describe this. There's oneness, right? The all. The Hermetics will say it's called the all. It is infinite. It is without boundaries. And because it is without boundaries, there's nothing outside of it. Because it is everything. And since there's nothing outside of it, the only way that it can create is through the mind, right? Because we can create infinite amounts of worlds in our mind and we don't violate the one rule, and that we're leaving ourselves to do it. So what the all does is it goes inside to create. Oneness, that infinite intelligent mind, creates within its own mind endless worlds, the same way Tolkien created Lord of the Rings, the same way Shakespeare created Hamlet. It's all in the mind, boundless, infinite. So we know that creation happens internally. When we hit the dream world, we're closer to home, we're closer to source because we're going internally, right? Which means things can be more easily changed there. The problem is that we're not conscious in our dreams. We're completely 100% passive. We're just witnessing, we're just observers. And while that is really good for some things, like observing a situation instead of being overwhelmed by it, if we are too far removed, we have no control. And that's what happens with lucid dreaming. We gain control in the dream world. Interestingly enough, I've met with one dream worker who's very anti-lucid dreaming. And there's a dream institute, a famous dream institute, a town over from me, and I was friends with one of their students. And she told me the same thing. She said, we study dream archetypes, we study dream symbology, reoccurring dreams and what they say about our waking life, and that's fine. But they almost had this negative, almost belittling, we're above that kind of feel towards lucid dreaming. Because in both situations I brought it up and the response was, I was like, oh, here we go again, another person asking about lucid dreaming. And it's like, why not, right? What's so hard about, or what's so bad about becoming lucid in a dream state? Is that not why we are here on earth? To wake up. So they say, everyone says, oh, you're living in a dream, you need to wake up, you need to wake up. Why not wake up in our actual dreams too? You know what I mean? If on this planet we need to wake up to be true creators and masters of our lives and not be overly passive and not be dictated instead of dictating, and being the chess player instead of the chess piece, you have to wake up. So why the hell are we not placing as much emphasis on lucid dreaming to wake up? As above, so below, right? If you train yourself to wake up inside of your dreams in here, who's to say that doesn't spill out into the real physical world and make it easier for us to wake up out here also? I don't know for sure, but it sure as hell makes sense. It corresponds, does it not? Do we not live in a holographic universe where every plane seems to imitate the other plane? The Fibonacci sequence, for example. What I think we can do, in other words, when we learn to lucid dream, is we can interact with our subconscious space as if it were a computer. As if we turned into tiny humans and flew into our hard drives in the back of our computers and started unplugging things and plugging other things back in. So you go lucid, and then you go into your dream space, and then you become lucid, and then you learn how to, one, go lucid, and two, how to maintain lucidity, which I'll get into in a second. And like Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And here's a really good example of that. When you're in your dream space, you say, Keith, how do I reprogram my subconscious mind when I'm awake in a lucid dream? My answer to that is, based off of Einstein, imagination. I don't know how you're going to fix yourself. I'm not you. I don't know what corresponding elements that you have. I don't know what reoccurring themes you have in your life. I don't know what symbols represent what things in your life. Only you know that. So when you go into your dream space, or me, for example, I have a reoccurring dream about being chased by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Since I was a child, at least once every 2 months or so, I'm being chased by a T-Rex. I would bring that up in the dream, and I would say, what does the T-Rex mean to me? And then I would communicate with it. Hey, what do you have? Ask it. What part of my subconscious mind are you representing? Is it future? I mean, you're old. Could it be something from the past? You're really big, overwhelming. You're a T-Rex. It's pretty primal, right? So it's like a primal rage. I don't know, but again, what I'm doing right now is on the fly, I'm using my imagination to pick apart my dream realm. And you're only limited to how well you can imagine things. How creative can you get in your dream space to manipulate the dream space? Here's another good example. The other night I went lucid. And what I started doing immediately, because I know once I go lucid, I get excited. Once I get excited, the dream will rattle and I'll lose lucidity. I'll go back into a completely observing state. What I did immediately the other day was I went lucid, and then I immediately started putting up fail safes all over the corners of, the best way I can describe it is I was putting up fail-safe mechanisms in every corner of my dream. Literally, I pictured the dream as a square box, and on all 8 corners, so 2, 4, 6, 8 corners of the room, I put up like these, I don't even know what they were. They were like thought things, and I stuck them to the corners of the walls so that every time I would start to lose lucidity, the dream wouldn't rattle. Because first the dream starts to rattle, like I'm losing synchronicity. I'm not in sync anymore, and then the dream disappears altogether. So whenever the dream would start to disappear, my little dream mechanisms held up my consciousness. It kept the room from shaking, so I stayed lucid longer. And it's the most aware I've ever been in a lucid dream. My first lucid dream was the most vivid, like the colors were brighter than real life, and the detail of the dream was as waking life is. It was unbelievable. But this last one, I was more mentally conscious, more mentally aware of what was going on. I was able to think like I am right now. It's really hard to describe. Anywho, this next thing I did was I tried to get a friend in my dream. And so there was a girl in my dream, and I wanted her to disappear and someone else come. So what I did was I closed my eye. I thought, okay, I can't make her disappear by just staring at her. I have to create another way where I can make her disappear. Someone else should appear. So I thought, okay, I'll close my eyes. That way I'm almost like erasing and reappearing. Only when I closed my eyes, I lost consciousness. So I had to get back to lucidity, and once I did, I thought, okay, don't close your eyes. That's bad for lucidity. Keep your eyes open. maybe I'll wave my hand over. So what I did is I waved my hand over, and as she disappeared from sight, on the other side, the other person reappeared, only it was the wrong person. The person that appeared was like a Viking woman from, like a legit Viking woman. Like, I went like that, and she just appeared, like she materialized in front of me. It was the strangest thing. So it wasn't working. But notice how I was using my imagination to come up with creative ways of making shit happen in the dream world. Now, this is what I'm talking about. And since you're already attached to that world, I can only imagine what would happen if you tried to meditate in a dream. I mean, you can do silly things too. Like, I convinced a dream character that he was actually in a dream. And he looks at me and he goes, "I'm in a dream?" And I was like, "Oh no," he said, "We're in a dream?" I was like, "No, you're in my dream. Like, I'm real, you're in a dream." And he was like, "What?" And he looked at me sideways, and he like started to freak out. I convinced a dream character that he was in my dream. It was crazy. But what I could have been doing was, again, changing the software of my brain, saying, okay, I want a person to come up that represents my child. I want a person that comes up that represents my line of ancestors. I want a person to pop up that looks like the epitome of everything I want out of a partner, whatever you want. And with practice, you'll be able to pull it up, and you'll be able to have conversations. And every time you're having a conversation with a dream character, you're having a conversation with an aspect of yourself, right? So the better dialogues we can have in our dreams, the easier it is for us to pull up dream parts. Of course, the easier it is to stay lucid, the more programming and tweaking we can do at a subatomic level, which again is a lot easier than programming your subconscious from the real world, because you're very far from the subconscious over here. But you go into your dream state, you're again really close to source, and therefore have a much easier time changing things. The difficult part is getting into the dreams in the first place, because most people can't even dream. And then the next thing is actually becoming lucid in said dream. And the third thing is remaining lucid in the dream, which again, if you use your creativity, you can do. Like, I set up the stabilizers in my dream to make sure that my dream stayed stable. You could change your dream space to a forest clearing that feels stable to you, or inside your home if that feels really stable to you. Just whatever you relate stability to. That's the beauty of imagination and the beauty of creativity. And that, I believe, is the way to because the inside, it reflects the external world, you guys. That's why it starts in the mind, and then it ripples out here. The external world definitely influences the internal world. As above, so below, as below, so above. Everything influences everything else too, of course, but closest to home, the deeper we go inside, the closer to home we get. At least that's what I believe. I feel the subconscious and the conscious mind work the same. So if we are getting our subconscious minds to act in this world, then we should get our conscious minds to act on the other side. Just something to think about. Thanks, you guys. My name is Keith. I'm your man of letters. If you're new, I would appreciate it if you guys subscribed to the channel, or at least considered doing so. And if you're an old cat and you've been here for quite some time, thank you for the continued support. Thank you for my Patreons. Thank you guys for buying all my candles and my dream potions and shit. Sales are up and they're doing well, and I thank you guys for that. Yeah, you guys, thanks. I'll see you in the next video.